Gonna do a review for the AGA T2. The AGA T2 has a press-on cap. It has a smaller wick hole, and it has smaller nuts on the center post stud. Okay, that is the difference. Besides the glass tank. Okay, it's got a glass tank as well. And it doesn't have any knurling, so it's improved the looks. Alright, the glass tank, to be honest with you, I could have done without a glass tank. I don't really care that it's a glass tank. Some of them purists out there say, or they stand behind the glass tanks a lot more than I would. To me, if the tank don't crack, then it's a good tank. So one way or the other, if it's glass or if it's plastic, I mean, I could give a shit less. Anyway, so here it is. I have drilled out the intake hole to 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so I'll just show you what it vapes like. I've got the groove set to 15 watts. And wait, let me show you the resistance, or tell you the resistance, 1.3 ohms. Now the groove goes down to 1 ohm, so it's well within range. It shouldn't have any misfire issues. Okay. I'm kind of getting a dry hit, and it don't taste good when that happens. It's not bad. You can taste the juice pretty good even with the bigger intake hole. I've got some AWG 30 and I've got a 4.5 wrap on here. Reason why I've got so many wraps is because that hole is actually just, it's quite a bit smaller, so the wick needs to be smaller. Alright, now with those smaller nuts in there, they almost cause you to have to almost start a U-wick because you don't want to have a hot spot at the top. So in order to eliminate that, you've got to get as close to the side of those nuts as you can. So as you can see, that guy is pushed over quite a bit. Okay. And that is one of the bad parts to this. Where did the bigger, thicker, more quality nuts go? I mean, they're gone. Okay, they still retain the nice ground screw here. It's nice and fat, easy to put the wire under there and tighten it down. So that's still good. Okay, a lot of people were saying that they drilled out their wick hole, but with mine, you couldn't do that. It was impossible. And reason being is because the hole was too close to the center channel stud there. Okay, and I'm going to show you firsthand what happens. So hopefully you'll be able to see that inside the channel there. I only went a half size up, and it didn't drill through the female threads in there, but it did bubble them out, and it bubbled them out enough that it will not screw back together. So for the people that did get them that were far enough apart, I mean, and you could drill those out, then great. But for me, I couldn't do it. And what I did was, instead of going out and getting a tap to re-tap it, I tried just screwing it on a little, backing it off, screwing it on and backing it off. And what that ended up doing was ruining the threads right there. So that's my fault on that part. I might have been able to save this and I still might be able to save it. I've got a chase back set and I've got a tap set. What are the odds that I'll have all the right sizes? Slim to none, and that's why I just decided to try to do it on my own. But there is no way to fix this otherwise. I mean, it starts and then it stops just because the threads are screwed. So that's a major downside. If you like something like the Genesis, something like maybe the Orion with a small wick hole, then you will probably like the AGA T2. Okay, and I don't mean to talk down on anything, but the simple fact of the matter is that they had it right the first time, except for the fact that the cap screwed on and the wick hole didn't always line up. Okay, the odds of that wick hole lining up were slim to none. But I did have a fix for it, which was a bigger O-ring, so that you could lift up the cap just a little bit, so when you tightened it down it wouldn't leak, and then you would be able to snug it up until it hit, you know, to where everything lined up. Bad part about that was that sometimes it was hard to get it unscrewed to refill it. You know, I had a couple times I had to resort to just slapping some vice grips on there and some pliers at the bottom and unscrewing it that way because it was so tight. But it didn't leak, and the holes lined up. So, you know, that was the only way to vape, if you ask me, with those holes lined up. Now with the smaller ones, some people might say, well, you can unscrew it a little bit. You know, that's all fine and dandy if you don't mind juice all over the place, okay? Because after a while, a tank or two, you do get a lot of buildup in there, and if this area isn't sealing properly, you do get leakage, okay? So, you know, it was just one of the downsides to it. So I don't see why they went backwards, basically, and they started messing with perfection, and they shouldn't have, okay? So basically what that turned this into a low power Genesis atomizer. That means that instead of doing a 2.3 or a 1.2 with a WG30, I have to do a 4.5. Okay, instead of vaping at anywhere from 0.6 of an ohm to 0.8 of an ohm, I am now vaping this at 1.3 ohms. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you are a low ohm vapor, you're not going to get that done with this unless you get lucky enough that the hole is moved out enough you can drill it out to the original size that they came with in version number 1. Okay, so, you know, it's one of those things. Thank God it was cheap. It was like $14 a piece in a co-op, so I essentially paid full price and got one. You know, it was $28. So that's the breaks. You know, it doesn't always work out in the modding vaping world. So it's I took a chance and I got the shaft, but it's okay. I'm not out a whole lot of money. So, all right, thanks for watching.